The tension in the room was palpable. A tempest was building beneath the surface of what was ostensibly a typical taping of the well-liked reality show. Everything surrounding Yandy and Rasheeda appeared to melt into the background, leaving them alone in a conflict that had been developing for a very long time. Even though the crew was there, the lights were bright and the cameras were rolling. Although Yandy had always been a strong woman, the stress of tonight's scenario made her feel as though she could lose her cool. Their drama had always revolved around M, but it had never been this personal or severe. Their world seemed to be collapsing now that everything was being filmed. Each morning, the three would wake up to find their family already through with lunch with everyone in town, and they'd been awake all night. The history between Rasheeda and M was undeniable. They had a shared background and an unbreakable kinship that had always simmered just below the surface. But when M started dating Yandy, things started to change. For years, Rasheeda had been a dependable friend and confidant in Yandy's life, but their relationship had never been straightforward. Rasheeda had first backed the relationship, but as time went on, she began to doubt M's commitment and judgment. The gloves were off now and the cameras were recording every second. Rasheeda's words cut through the air like a sharp dagger, and Yandy could feel the heat rising in her chest. This was genuine, not the frivolous banter that had previously characterized their connection. "Yandy, are you truly going to sit here and defend him?" Rasheeda spoke in an Arabic tone, her words brimming with incredulity. "After everything he's done, you're still going to act like he's your savior?" Yandy struggled to remain calm despite the fact that her blood was boiling. This seemed like an outright assault. Rasheeda had always been eager to point out M's shortcomings and blame him for their issues. "What is it about M that you always have something to say?" Despite Yandy's stern tone, her irritation was evident. "This relationship isn't about you. It is my responsibility to deal with his past, his baggage, and his mistakes. Therefore, don't just sit here and pretend to know what's best for me." Yandy wasn't finished, but Rasheeda sneered and rolled her eyes. This was not the time to back down. She had reached her breaking point. "You don't know what we've been through, what I've had to forgive, and yet here you are, acting like you have all the answers," Yandy continued, her voice becoming louder with each sentence. "You've always held your own views, but you've never been in our position when her life depended on it. Are you the happiest person in the world?" The tension between the two women was intense, and the air was thick with unspoken hostility and unresolved problems. There was more to it than M. It was no longer simply about them. For years, the rivalry had been smoldering in M's life. Rasheeda had always hung over Yandy's relationship with him like an unspoken jealousy. "I have no idea what it's like to be in a relationship with someone who makes mistakes all the time. He has harmed us both, Yandy, and I'm tired of seeing you pretend that he has changed." Rasheeda narrowed her eyes. "You believe you are the only one who has had to cope with the mess caused by M." Yandy felt the words hit her like a blow to the face. She briefly sensed a change in the ground underneath her. She wanted to snap, to yell at Rasheeda for all the suffering she had caused, but she wouldn't let anyone enjoy seeing her snap. Everything seemed to be collapsing as the cameras were filming. Yandy had fought to maintain her composure for so long because M's mistakes had pushed her to her breaking point. However, it appeared as though the dam was about to collapse. Today, the continual chaos and Rasheeda's constant meddling had finally taken their toll. As the crew stood in the background, uncertain of how to step in, their disagreement intensified. They were aware that what they were seeing was the breakdown of something far more significant than a female competition. It was the breakdown of a relationship, a long-running conflict over authority and respect that had no apparent end in sight. Yandy bounded away as Rasheeda's anger simmered beneath the surface. Exhausted and enraged, the cameras kept rolling. Yandy seemed like she could have lost the fight to save her family. Rumor had it that M had finally reconciled with his beloved Erica, who had resigned after growing weary of referring to her as his wife. Others even conjectured that they were already wed. The real fight, however, had only just begun for Yandy. It was about navigating the disaster her life had become and whether she could trust anyone again, even herself. rather than just Rasheeda and M, it was getting more and more sticky. The only thing that kept Yandy in the marriage was her pride, and now that M had moved in with Erica, it appeared that Yandy had lost all self-control. "To clarify for those who haven't figured it out," Yandy said. "In addition to criticizing M for offending me, I'm also giving Erica a strong warning. Break up with him or face the consequences when we next meet." We all thought Yandy would finally enjoy her marriage after all the effort and labor she had done while he was in prison. She even sought treatment to resolve their problems. However, the adage, "once a cheater, always a cheater," applies. M chose to move on rather than receive loyalty for keeping the family together while he was incarcerated. Let's now discuss Erica, Yandy's main adversary. In case you missed it, M has obviously refused to set boundaries with Yandy, and the two have been at odds for years. If you have been following the M, Erica, and Yandy love triangle, you are aware that Yandy has consistently denied the reality of her marriage. Although she is aware that M is still seeing Erica and hasn't been completely honest with her, her conceit and arrogance lead her to believe she is the only woman in his life, and she is